Congratulations on the new release, Wicked Grin. It's a great album. Going over the material, was there a particular Tom Waits song that sparked the idea for the album initially?
Well, Tom had written a song for me about 10 years ago for an album project I was doing with J.J. Cale, and I've known Tom for about 26 years now. I've been on shows with him, hung out with him. He's just one of the brilliant, genius songwriters, poets, actors, performers I've ever seen. So there were a lot of things that made it very conducive for me to jump into these songs. I think the first one we did on the project was 219. Mm-hmm. And I had never played with this band before. This was an adventure in playing with great artists. And first tune we did in one take. We all looked at each other and said, hey, this is going to work. So I think the first tune we did was the one that crystallized the direction and the theme of the album. And I'm just really, I'm so thrilled with it.
Now, was that the intention when you went into the studio?
No, actually, we didn't really have a plan. The idea was that we had a bunch of tunes. All of us were, veteran players over many years, and
Charlie Musselwhite.
Well, Charlie Musselwhite, but Larry Taylor, Augie Myers, mm-hmm. Stephen Hodges, and of course Tom.
Right.
On the first tune we did, Tom was just in the studio, but he saw that we were having so much fun that he wanted to play too. So after that, he got completely involved and was playing guitar and piano, and we just had an incredible time.
Now, for most of your career, you've interpreted blues songs. Was it different taking on some of Tom's material?
Yes, it was. It was. It stretched out my envelope, as it were. I did things I didn't know I could do. I did things that I just felt pure inspiration from Tom, and as I say, he's such an incredible lyricist. He's the kind of guy that walks down a street and notices everything, and has a way of making it come alive in a really dynamic way.
Are they essentially blues songs in your opinion?
No, there's some that are definitely blues connected, blues rooted. Mm-hmm. Tom is a blues fan big time, and has incorporated a lot of the genre in his material. I'm a blues singer, but I just felt really inspired by Tom.
Now, how did you approach some of his songs? Because knowing Tom Waits' material, there's sort of an offbeat moodiness. There's a sort of theatrical nature to some of them. Was there a significant a vision as to how to approach these songs, or did you just sort of let the songs take you?
I let it come on. It was all what's the word when you're it just happened. It came together with each song. The majority of these songs I'd never heard before, so when I got into them, it was just sort of letting it flow through me. It was spontaneous, that's the word.
So if you weren't familiar with some of these songs, was Tom sort of instructing how these songs work, or how's his
Well, he was correcting phrasing for me, or giving me insight into how to phrase so many words. Oh man, these songs are like epic stories.
Right.
A lot of them just are real like stories in themselves, visions, vignettes, whatever.
Right. Was it lyrically quite challenging to
It was
sing?
in a way, but I felt up for it. Completely. It was done in 5 days.
Really?
Yeah. So we got a lot done in 5 days.
Well, at what point in the recording process did you begin to feel a sense of ownership of these songs? That they were John Hammond songs?
Right from the beginning.
Really?
Yeah. I wouldn't do anything that I didn't feel I could do. There were a few tunes that we thought about that I just couldn't feel myself inside of somehow. The one he wrote for me, Fannin Street. Right. He played it for me on my acoustic guitar. I said, Tom, I don't think I could do that. He says, oh yes you can, man. Yes you can. So I just did it, jumped into it.
Now, was that the mood for the recording sessions? I mean, if he's giving you a song, he's writing you a song, was he in many ways producing for you in a way that would best suit you? I mean, was he?
Oh, I think so, absolutely. He's, I was unaware of him ever having produced anyone other than himself, and he finally copped to that. He said, I never produced anybody else. But as a producer, he was fantastic. He really knows what to do. He has an idea of the sound he wants and the mood. He knows how to mic a room. He knows how to mix and get that sound just the way he wants it.
Yeah, was there an internal communication between the two of you? You knowing each other for so long, musically?
Yes, I mean, I've admired him for all these years, and frankly, I was amazed that he was a fan of mine, since my first record. So there's a connection that's deep.
Mm-hmm. Now, what do you think you brought to these songs that maybe Tom didn't originally bring to them?
I know I brought me. I know
right.
that. I brought everything that I know in my, blues reality, and it worked.
Did you ever surprise him?
Yeah, I think he was totally surprised by how everything just flowed. I mean, when you do a tune in 3 or 4 takes, that means that it's flowing. That there's a real communication going on between the players and the producer. And we were all just caught up in the flow. I think Tom is that kind of magnetic person that just sort of brings things together. And I feel so fortunate to have had this opportunity.
It sounded like a really unique experience.
Yes, it was.
Now, you've been singing and playing the blues for over 35 years now. Do you find yourself coming into new material to record?
All the time.
Do you think the genre is replenishing itself?
Oh, absolutely. This is an American tradition. This is something that is so deep. The roots go so deep, and as soon as you're aware of that tradition, you find yourself within it. I mean, it took me a few years to feel like I was part of something that has this depth and this tradition, this history. There's so many great artists that have put their mark on the genre. If I've done it a little bit, I'm very happy. I knew that when I began playing that this was going to be my life, and not a quick buck.
No.
And this is just an extraordinary time for me.
When did you think, or when did you feel comfortable sort of saying that you were a blues artist? Was there a period when the blues community...
Well, I was right away. I knew I was a blues singer when I began playing when I was 19, 40 years ago. And I knew that this was going to be my life. I knew that I would grow into it because, I mean, in blues, it's not a pop kind of mentality. It's more of a depth. The older you get, the more experience, the more perspective you have on the songs, because it isn't that the new cheekbones of the week, it's how you get yourself established and you build your career, and you find yourself within the tradition, which is very heavy.
Where do you see the blues today in relation to maybe some of the younger artists?
Blues has always been the basics, the foundation from which everything in the pop world is, always falls back to the blues. After, it begins to go nowhere, you fall back to the blues and get inspiration again. I mean, this is the seminal American art form.
Now, when you interpret songs, even songs that you've recorded before, even if you sit down and play a song that you've played hundreds of thousands of times, is there something you take away from it each time? Is there something collected each time you play a blues song?
Yeah, in a way. There's songs that I've done for 40 years now that I never get tired of playing. I feel like it's within my persona, my viewpoint, and as I've done these songs over the years. For instance, I've been singing Robert Johnson songs way longer than he ever lived, you know.
Right.
And I never get tired of it. I feel inspired every time I sing these songs, you know. I feel it coming through me.
Now, in the course of your career, have you been surprised as to where you find the blues in sort of American culture, or even in just the American soundscape, and in places where you never thought blues would exist?
Yeah, I've come to find out that you know, over the years that blues has become the most popular nightclub music perhaps in the world, in terms of the U.S., Canada, Europe. I'm surprised, you know, I go to Japan and there's this huge blues community there, and Australia, New Zealand, there's, you know, real blues based reality, you know. It's been accepted internationally as you know, a truly profound and basic.
Do you ever find yourself inspired by other forms of music outside of blues?
Oh yeah, I'm anything you feel the passion in, well, anything that I feel, that passionate, basic feeling of honesty in expression, you know. I mean, I think music transcends language, you know, and when you can feel that feeling, that passion, that depth, it translates no matter what the language is, you know. And I've gotten it from Indian ragas, and I've felt it from, you know, just, you know, the folk music culture of most societies and most cultures have.
Traditional music?
Yeah, had that basic feeling. It's a blues kind of thing.
Sort of the spirit.
Yeah, the spirit.
Genre.
Yes, it does.
Now, what do you think that you have taught younger generations about the blues?
Well, I don't know if I've taught them anything.
Or what have you left them?
Well, you know, I've shown them that this is something that you can devote your life to, that you can find yourself within, that it doesn't matter what your background, what your roots, what your origins are. If you are inspired by something, it can just take you over and make you a bigger person.
Now, how does Wicked Grin fit into that equation?
Well, this is a side of me that has emerged that I'm excited by it. I feel like it's broadened my scope. I always will be a blues singer, but this is something that has given me a little extra edge.
Do you think it's the type of experience that will push you to interpret songs that aren't necessarily blues songs and sort of make them your own?
Possibly, I don't know. This is an extraordinary circumstance for me, that I had this opportunity to work with someone who I, you know, admired deeply, and was able to pull this off somehow and make it my own, and show another side of myself as a performer, as an artist.
Mm-hmm. Now, are you going to be performing this album?
Oh yeah.
Will you be doing it with a band?
Yes, with Larry Taylor, Augie Myers, Stephen Hodges, and Frank Carrillo. And we've already begun this tour that's going to go coast to coast. And
now, this is you don't rarely play with a live band.
I rarely play with a band. This is an extraordinary time.
Why is that? Why do you?
Because the record has got so much buzz going for it. It's, you know, the
demand is there.
Yeah, the label decided that they want it to be heard, you know, all over.
Do you prefer playing solo?
Well, that's my basis, you know.
Mm-hmm.
This is what I've worked so many years to hone my craft as a solo country blues singer.
Mm-hmm.
And so for me to work with a band is an extraordinary thing, but these guys are so great. I mean, these are great players, veterans. All of us are in our 50s, you know. We're not spring chickens anymore, but so we've been there, and these guys are so talented.
Have you had to prepare yourself for working with a band or playing with a band? Is there some type of change in the way you perform?
Yes, I've had to learn to work ensemble. I mean, as I say, it's not so much of a stretch when you have these fantastic players behind you, you know. But for me to, you know, be playing electric guitar as opposed to acoustic is a change. But over the years, I've had my chances to play that way, you know, in recording dates at least, and it's not alien to me.
Mm-hmm. Now, your father was obviously one of the true legends of modern music.
Yes.
Is there one thing that he taught you about the industry that has stayed with you your entire career, or even just music in general?
Well, you know, when I began to play professionally, and I didn't grow up with my dad, so he didn't have as much influence on me as a lot of folks assume. But he warned me. He said, you know, this is not a fair business. The industry is not known for its honesty, and it's not known for, you know, fairness in dealing with artists. So, I mean, he gave me some, you know, I suppose, good advice that I didn't listen to, and went on to make every mistake you can make, I guess. But that's the way you learn. And
right.
I've had, you know, extraordinary good fortune to have been in the right place at the right time to, you know, to make as many recordings as I've made, and without a hit still be out there happening. And
a working artist.
Yes, this is my career. This is my life. So, and you know, I found myself very soon after beginning right inside, you know, the tradition. I keep saying that word, but it is. And, no regrets.